Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Riwo, and I am joined with Julie and Bonnie talking about our South American gal pick. Bonnie already talked about Maria Rostworowski.
Nice.
Cateria, there we go. Quinceañera. And Julie talked about Carmen Miranda.
Yes.
Yay! Look at that. So before we dive back in, I want to know, my very, very random question is, if you had a llama, what would its name be? Dun, 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 dun. Llama cuteness.
And if we came back as a llama?
Yes, and if you were reincarnated as a llama, what would your name be? One in the same question.
Bonnie's been researching.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's like your drag name.
Yep.
It's got to be a pun.
Exactly.
Although
yes,
Cusco
or derby
came
name.
Up. And
Cusco.
I feel like we got to mention Cusco.
Cusco-topia. I mean, Emperor's New Groove. Classic. One of my favorites.
I saw one that was like Beyonce with llama in it.
Yes.
Llama-say, I think.
Something like that. Yes, exactly.
That's pretty good.
Right? Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, anything with Beyonce in it is always good.
Shamalama ding dong.
Shamalama ding dong.
Shamalama
That is
ding dong.
also what I call a certain movie director.
I also saw Tina on this list, which I believe is from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, I thought it was Bob's. There's some Bob's Burgers ones that are too. Yeah, for the Tina Llama. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spitball.
Yes, that's a good one. Spitball. Because they spit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Did you have one that like sang to you that you're like, that's it? Would you be the Beyonce of llamas? Would you have a Beyonce of llamas?
I'm cool enough to be.
Okay.
I would need a permanent wind machine.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Woolly bully.
Woolly
I do like Woolly Bully. That's a good one.
Woolly
Yes.
bully. I love that song because it mostly just says Woolly Bully.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it was banned for saying something dirty or derogatory. And it's like, it's not saying anything, hun.
It's just nothing. So which one would you pick specifically, Bonnie?
Yeah.
I'm probably just going to have to go with Cusco.
Cusco. Yeah. It's hard to beat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cusco's good.
Specifically for Cusco.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I love
Cusco's
that.
name.
I like it. Julie, what about you? There's Shakespearean actors that are dying downstairs in case any of that came through. It's hilarious.
Over our llama names. It's
hard coming up with a llama name. You could die.
I have one,
You like
and
the
it's
name or don't like the name?
It's Shakespearean. It could be both.
no, it's true. I have a really dumb one.
Yes, I like it. Yeah,
So it's a play on Namaste, no Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm gonna no Namaste that right here.
Namaste is amazing of a name. It is on my, I would say short list, but it's not short.
No, I was excited about no Namaste.
Namaste is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's perfect. Do you guys want to hear my list?
I want to hear your list. You have a list.
Me too.
I was one was suggested to me that said Llama stay right here.
Llama stay right here.
Or Llama stay home.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. That is perfect.
One was
The
suggested.
one that says just not alpaca.
This is Alpaca Loco.
Nice.
Alpaca Loco. Okay. And then Dalai Lama as in Dolly Parton or as in Dalai Lama as in the Buddhist Venerable.
Nice.
So either one. It just depends on how you spell it. Sir Alpacalot. Lama Del Rey.
Lama Del Rey.
This body's too apacalicious for you, baby.
Nice.
Lamazon Prime.
Oh, wow.
Sir Who Spits a Lot, and then Lama Stay.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Llama
there you
stay.
go.
I feel like
See?
you need to open up a llama racing league.
Yes.
You get to name them the funny names like horses.
Like Derby? Or, yes, like the Kentucky Derby. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Trey, apparently Trey knew about this the whole time.
Okay, yes.
He just turned it on one day, like last week. It's like international pig racing, but it's not really.
okay.
It's like a fake thing.
Is it
It's
like
a
the wiener
dude-
dog racing?
It's a dude in his backyard with his own pigs, which he didn't tell me. It took me like a half hour. I was like,
Was this on
is the
TV
same
or on
five
YouTube?
pigs.
Was this a
Hilarious.
YouTube
Yes.
thing?
Yeah, so it's on YouTube, and this dude is like,
Just racing his pigs in his
the
backyard.
pigs have funny names. One of them is Piggy Smalls.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's from Mexico, I think. But I'm just sitting there. He turned it on. I was like, they took this pig, like they brought this pig all the way from Mexico?
weird.
Right?
No.
Like, I'm just sitting here, I'm like, what is going on?
You know, when marble racing is a thing that's on
Loves
YouTube,
the marble
yeah,
racing.
then it's everything's up
He
for
likes
grabs. So
Team
I just
Momo.
Team
I
Momo.
like Momo.
There you go.
So you were talking about the pigs.
Yeah.
Our daughter lives on a farm, and periodically they will raise chickens, and she names them, which is never great. But she names them things like Nugget and Colonel.
Well, is one of them the Colonel? You know what I mean? Like, do you need to salute it? No. Okay, all right. Just making sure, because I would
She just
salute that Colonel.
She's like, I named that one. I'm like, don't name them. You're going to get too attached. She's like, no, Mom. That one's called Tenderloin. What it was? It's like
Nugget.
Yeah, and
chicken
then
nugget.
chicken finger.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
I'm
there
like,
you go.
oh, that's special. Okay, great.
Bacon.
The great circle of life. Yeah. Great.
You know, it's an educational moment.
Educational.
Cow named Patty.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, it's fantastic. This has really nothing to do with the lady that I'm going to share with you. It's just more about my obsession with llamas and just animal puns in general.
I'm glad we could help you.
I'm here for it. Thank you. Helps.
Our next
helps my
episode will
bones.
be an intervention. No, I'm just kidding. Joking. I am.
It should be. But you know what? We have a 300th episode. Why don't we wait?
Oh, let's
that
do it
could
then.
be the great one.
We could record at that petting zoo. Maybe they have llamas.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you'll never get me close to a microphone because I will be too close to a llama the entire time. Exactly. All right. So who I have for you is a historian. I kind of thought this was like wonderfully fitting for, you know, being in a women's library and all that and loving the research that I do. But I have a historian for you who taught us how to learn about the Incas, not from a Western's perspective, not from a Spanish conquistador perspective, but from the ancestry of the people, the Andeans.
What?
Nice.
Right? Yeah.
You mean from the people who live there?
Correct.
Yeah. I saw some lady when I was looking up, and it was like a lady from Germany. I was like, you can't do the German lady doing the Incas or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, this is very, very true.
Nice.
Well, this lady, she has a Polish last name, but that's because her father was Polish and her mother was from Peru, and I will totally get into that. But I am talking about, and it's probably good I go last because then nobody has to try to say her name, Maria Rostworowski. Rostworowski. Yes, exactly. So
That rolls right off the tongue.
her full name, she's got a 5-namer, Maria Rostworowski Tovar Diaz Francisco.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm just going to call her Maria.
Good choice.
But she wrote books and brought to life the Incas in a way that was free from the veils of Western perception.
That's cool.
She was considered very much an intellectual of Peru. I love me an intellectual. So she was born in 1915 in Lima, Peru, and her mother was from Puno, which is on the shore of Lake Titicaca.
Nice.
Okay,
And
you
I
have
just-
me. You
thank
have
you.
me at
Nice.
both of those.
I am so happy that I finally get to be on the podcast and say the word. She came from the shores of Lake Titicaca.
Titicaca.
I didn't know if I would ever really get to say that or be able to know a historical woman from. So I was very excited. Maria's father was a Polish aristocrat who she described as saying he had wandering habits of a hippie that was before his time. So her dad just kind of like did whatever he wanted to do, explored whatever he wanted to explore, couldn't really be pinned down. It probably also mean had affairs all the time. But I mean, that wasn't specifically in my research. But both sides of her family were educated and of a high status. So she kind of start off pretty high. Maria's grandfather was the president of the Senate of Peru, and her uncle in Poland was a playwright who was very accomplished at the time. So, I mean, like, she came from really good DNA. She got a good, smart DNA kind of lottery there. When she was still young, she and her family moved to France. Maria knew 4 languages because she actually chose to attend boarding schools. Her father wasn't really teaching her much, doing much, encouraging much. She's like, I want to learn stuff. Like,
her.
yeah. So she went to boarding schools in France, in Belgium, and in England. She was kind of a lonely child as she was at these boarding schools, but she read a lot. So I completely understand that, right?
Right.
Her father then decided to bring her to Poland, that idea of, well, this is my roots, you know, my side of the family. So Maria was captivated by the Warsaw's high society balls. She found them very exciting. She said, I married a Polish noble because he sang and danced well.
Well, that is a reason.
Like one does when you're a member of the Taunt.
Exactly, right? There you go. So she married Count Zygmunt Brothel Platter.
I'm so sorry. Say that one more time.
Let's try it. Count Zygmunt Brother Plattel.
I have a visual image of what he looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it has nothing to do with how he looks.
Let me add a nuance. It was also her distant cousin.
All right.
Right? It's just the hits just keep on coming. They had a daughter, but the marriage ended early, kind of in divorce. So, I mean, when you marry him because he sings and dances, and then you find out he's your cousin. I'm just saying.
Maybe they knew that beforehand. A lot
quite
of that
possible. They
happened
say
in
distance.
aristocracy.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. I guess it happens. I tend to look out for it and ask questions.
My cousins,
but
there's a reason it doesn't happen when you're from the South, man. It shouldn't.
You're like, you look familiar.
Trey.
Yeah.
Probably this winter I'll get back on my ancestry stuff.
Find out you're related.
Because his bunch of my relatives are from Caldwell County, Kentucky.
Right.
And
his aren't too far away.
He's got a couple that are like the next county over. And I'm like,
yeah. Things happen in next cousin. Well, it means that you will be a historical figure. And the footnote will be, and married her distant cousin. She also went to the National University of San Marcos, which is in Lima, Peru. So she ended up coming back to Peru, where she studied Peruvian history. Cool. She had extraordinary teachers who introduced her to analyzing historical sources and encouraged her to study her country's history. So kudos to all good teachers, because good teachers can put you on a trajectory that she's, spoilers, stays with for the rest of her life.
That's awesome.
So while she was at university, she edited tons of publications, including the highest selling social journal in all Peruvian history. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of them. There's not many that are in the States either. So that's why I'm like, but at the same time, it's, a little feather in the cap. Her first book of at least 25 books was published in 1953. She was 38 years old when she published her first book. And in it, she showed how important it was for the Inca government to build an empire. So the Inca empire that we know and love and are confused by. It is actually also called the Realm of Four Parts. If you want to know the glorious Peruvian, it's Janwantinsuyu.
Nice.
I know, right? Exactly. And that's in the name of the book. So therefore. But the four parts are kind of like the four regions. It's like the tri-state area. You know how we'll talk about the tri-state area. That's basically what the Inca Empire was four realms, four regions. And we're talking 13th century is kind of when her research is. So her book actually translates to the history of the Inca realm. Maria shows evidence of pre-Columbian societies and deconstructed the wishful drinking that the Spanish colonizers started to write about in books at the time. So that was really nice. I, too, needed a refresher on what the hell pre-Columbian means. That means before Christopher Columbus in 1492, just in case, that whitewashing of culture and let's just say syphilis. Also at the same time. It's like it's pre, pre all of that kind of good stuff. The idea that there was also peoples before 1492 was something that widely people just kind of like ignored, except for Maria. So thank goodness. Right? Yeah, I know. The idea that there was no people or culture or civilization before whatever.
Things happened.
Yeah, exactly. So she continued to publish books about pre-Columbian society. So basically Peruvian history. Sure. But she also wrote within that pre-Columbian about gender studies, about cults, and about the rise of Christianity in the region as well, right? She showed us the Inca Empire was not at all like the Roman way, because that's a lot of how it was like kind of, I don't want to say rewritten, but it's kind of rewritten or constructed or just, jump to conclusion, Matt's. Oh, it had to be like Rome because that's what we know. Right. The Incan Empire was actually not built on money or markets. So it was kind of difficult for Westerners to kind of understand. They exchanged goods and services, and taxes were sometimes labor obligations that the government would actually either help you with or you would help the society out with. It was very much based on give and take, reciprocity, and a kinship interwoven into the society as well. There was also large feasts that the government would give to the people, as well as grant for land access and stuff like that. So something that really kind of came up in her research a lot was that mutual dependence, that mutual exchange of privilege. Yeah, no, there's a lot of white people that didn't want anybody to know that could be a possible thing for a thriving culture, right? So Hugh Thompson... And I'll put in the show notes the link to the full article. But he said this wonderful sum up that I knew that I couldn't rewrite as eloquently as he said. But he said, Maria showed how Andean principles of kinship wove a complicated thread through Inca politics, which did not observe European principles of permaculture, and instead depended more on a matrilineal line of influence. He added, no one has written much previously about the mothers of the Inca emperors.
Very cool.
Right? So thank goodness for that as well. So in Peru, she met her second husband. He was a businessman who was related to another series of counts. I think the girl had a thing for royalty. I'm not mad at it.
She got a type.
Exactly. But he was also in the political party called Popular Action. Popular Action went through a movement at one point to learn more about pre-Columbian history, to learn more for the Peruvians to learn about their own history. And she was very much at the kind of head of that. But when her husband died suddenly in 1961, and I can't figure out how he died, accident, assassination, heart attack, I have no idea. He died suddenly, and apparently it was so dramatic, she went into the jungle and then moved into a leper colony to be a nurse.
Oh my God.
So I'm just going with that has to be dramatic.
Maybe she liked him and she was full of drama.
I think she really liked him. Yeah. She wasn't even studying or nothing. She just straight like, I'm going to go to a leper colony.
I'm done. Peace out. Deuces. Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Lepers. That's a choice.
Yeah. So I'm just going with it was something. Yeah. But she came back to be a researcher. Don't worry. She came out of the leper colony. From 73 to 74, she was a researcher at the Peruvian Culture Museum. And then she moved on to be the director of the Natural History Museum from 75 to 80.
Of course.
Right? So,
I mean, she came after a leper colony.
Yes, she came right back to business. So also her research, so she was doing a lot of research at this time that she was the director of these museums. Her research included looking at court records, tax records, the census, and she even found great stuff by looking at lawsuits that were filed just as the Spanish conquest started happening. So looking at who was suing who was really important to her work, and I appreciate the way that she researched as well.
Sure. Follow the money.
Yes, very much so. So what is considered her most important work of over 25 books was one that she published in 1983. And what it translates to, because it's a long title and I won't do it in Spanish, but it's Andean Power Structures, Religious and Political Ideology. Exactly.
That sounds fascinating.
Sounds like a textbook.
Doesn't it? The Smithsonian has a first edition.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Exactly. One funny, interesting fun fact, I guess, about her writing is she hated typewriters, and she was alive for computers and refused to use them. She wrote most of her work handwritten and turned it into editors for... Right. So these aren't light things that she's researching either. She also has a whole bunch of accolades of being in like the Royal Spanish Academic of History, the National Argentine Academy of History. She was also in the Geographical Society of Lima. So all around South America, she was in different societies. She was in different groups. She would lead institutions, studying all about the Inca Empire, which I thought was absolutely lovely. Another fun fact, I should say, she lived to be 100.
Nice.
Wow. Right. So nice that
she
a historian
from the leper colony,
right?
Didn't she?
Exactly. Yeah. She was born in 1915 and she died in 2016. So she died before her 101st birthday. That's how math works. Yeah.
Well, sure.
I know. I like it when a historian gets to see a lot of history.
Yeah. I'm surprised she didn't write a book somehow about the leper colony. So she must have been going through some things.
She might have. Not all of them were translated to the English.
Oh.
And weirdly, I don't know the word for leprosy in Spanish. It didn't jump out at me like, oh, well, that's a book about leprosy.
That's a book about that.
But it's quite possible.
Yeah. No, that's like the craziest time, I think, to have been living and seen so much change from horse and carriage to train to automobile,
telephone,
plane, computer, like the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like when those people are like back in my day.
Right, exactly. Then it's a whole different thing. You're like, yes, it was.
That's a whole century ago. Like,
Yep. This is very true. And I thought I would end with this. So an interviewer asked her about her success. And this is what she said was the reason for her success. She said, I dedicated 10 years to reading the early Spanish chronicles before I wrote a single word myself. I made index cards and entries of all of them. And that was one of the most useful things I ever did. I'm a self-taught learner, and I've always been curious. And I realized early on that the study of ancient Peru can take a lifetime. Right? Exactly. So yeah, little historian there for you from Peru, where llamas are. I guess it kind of loosely tied in.
I was like, it kind of tied
it's real loose. I love her. I also love llamas. How about that?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. When you first started talking about her, I'm like, did she actually talk to some people that were from that time? And then you said the dates, and I'm like, nope.
Right?
Nope, she did not.
Right. No, the 13th century of it all. Yes, exactly. No, historical documents will get you there.
And those are also riveting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because you got to kind of lead between the lines. Like, okay, are the Spanish writing this, or are the Peruvians writing this, or is it an observer for somebody else? So,
very cool.
But I like how she kind of came at it with, well, these are not, these are more clear-cut, follow the money kind of ways to see the legality of things. So
there's a book that I read in school, and it was on the women of Hellenistic Egypt, and they went through and looked through divorce decrees to kind of gauge how women were thought of back in the day, because the courts granted, the courts granted them divorce pretty often, and granted them money and child support kind of a thing.
They were almost kind of feminist then in a way. Yeah. So I saw a thing with Maria when she got divorced from the count from Poland and then came back to Peru. She said she said she was the second or third woman to have a divorce in her town, which was Lima, Peru, not a small town. So it was not really, it was kind of frowned upon.
She could probably have just been like, he died.
Oh, yes, right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have known?
But she's a historian, and there's paperwork, damn it.
Right. Somebody could read that one day.
Right, exactly. She could even report on it herself in her own biography and memoir. Who knows? Do you want me to wrap us up for the month?
Go for it.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, that wraps up South American month. Next week, we travel for our last destination of the year. Oh my gosh. We are going to the region of breathtaking lights in the sky and reindeer on the earth. We're going to Scandinavia. Ooh. Thank you so much for listening. Want to learn about more women of history? Gals Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.